My sculptures are a celebration of the animals that have died so that we can eat. I'm trying to use these body parts that otherwise wouldn't be used at all. My name is Mick Chivers, and I am a visual artist working primarily in sculpture and occasionally on digital mediums.
So can you talk a little more about you and your relationship with fishing?
Absolutely. So I've been fishing as long as I can remember. I learned to fish in the brackish waters of Finland with my dad when I was spending my summers there. And we would just catch perch off the dock and then go home and eat them. And I just instantly fell in love with it. My dad was an excellent striper fisherman about 20 or 30 years ago, and when he moved back to Rhode Island, that was the main species we targeted. My dad, through his work, was gone pretty much most of my childhood, like 8 to 10 months of the year. And when he was home, the one thing we would do together is fish. And so it stuck with me. One is this incredible sort of really hands-on activity of catching fish, and also these rare moments I got to spend with my dad in years where I would see him.
What we did today, what we're doing today?
Yeah, so what we're doing today is we're fish potting for black sea bass, which is an incredibly artisanal and sustainable industry in my opinion. And so we're out here, we just did 4 cycles through 11 pots and ended up with around 135 pounds of good fish. So we're letting the rest of the pot soak right now while we take a little bit of a break, clean the boat and all that. And then we'll haul them in maybe 10 minutes and go get our 200-pound commercial limit for November in Rhode Island and bring those back. And since we're probably going to be fishing until pretty late in the afternoon, we'll sell tomorrow morning real early. Yeah. This is like one of the best eaten fish in the ocean. Something I can fucking talk about. I sort of ran out of my fishing spiel.
Okay.
You know, all that stuff.
Let's do one more question.
One more question? What do you want it to be?
So, what is your plan with that triggerfish? Have you already talked about it?
Oh yeah. So basically, I mentioned those 2 triggerfish we caught. It's an incredible white fish. Like you'll see when I take it home and fillet it that you can basically see through the meat. And so what I did is I bled them immediately and had them die out in the water in the live well. And so they sort of breathed out all their water because I perforated their gills a bunch of times. And then I took them and I immediately gutted them right after they died, packed their gut cavity with ice, and then buried them in ice. So they're like a really perfect meat. And then tonight, once rigor mortis is kicked in and the meat's really firm, I'll fillet them and then eat them as sashimi. And then I'll take the carcass because they've got a really large skull, and so a lot of the fish ends up being like head. And so there's great bone structure in there. And I haven't made a sculpture out of a triggerfish yet because we don't really catch a lot, and it's great we caught 2 today. And so I'll take those home, eat them, take the carcasses, freeze them because I won't be able to come home until next weekend. And then next weekend I'm gonna process it using my skeletonization process, and then bring them back to my studio and bleach them, and then make a sculpture out of them and see what I can do. I really have no idea what they look like inside. I haven't looked at any pictures online or anything. I'm just gonna take the fish apart, see what comes out of it, and see what I can do with it. Which, I mean, really exciting stuff, because I've normally worked with monkfish and fluke, and so we're on to a new medium, I guess you could say.
All right. Can you clap twice?
Man, I love being out on the water. There's nothing quite like this, I tell you. Listen to that. Listen to that wind, roar of the engine. So, I'm going to be filleting a triggerfish. These are actually, I consider, one of the most difficult fish to fillet, because as you can see, they've got this ridiculously thick skin that the knife has a really hard time going through. And then it also
Look at that
Meanwhile,
light.
my hungry ass is just watching. Eat. Vic, come on, let's feed the brother, Vic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm doing is I'm using these reclaimed organic forms like fish bones or deer skulls or sticks to create sculptures that are attempting to generate conversation about food production pathways and the roles of animals and their death in our society. So I'm taking these like corporeal fragments that are sort of in this transitionary state between a thing's existence and their like the erasure of any trace of them, which because the bones will last longer than anything else really, and I'm just, I guess, sort of trying to celebrate the lives of these animals that are consumed as food. When people go into the gallery, maybe have them think about what is actually happening behind the food that they eat. The sculpture isn't just the initial form, it's the finish you apply to it, and then I'm building a lot of stands or displays so that I can present the work exactly as I want it to be presented and not really leave anything up to chance. It's one thing to make a work and put it on a pedestal in a space, but it's another thing to make the pedestal and then put the work in a space, you know?
there anyone you want to kind of mention, shout out, like show some appreciation for?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, right? Like my life and all of my achievements are more representative of the people who raised me than myself. So I have an immense amount of gratitude for my father for teaching me to fish and teaching me what hard work is and not to be afraid of it. I'm also really thankful for my mother, who raised 5 kids with a dad who was overseas working the majority of the year and did an incredible job raising us, like, as for the most part a single parent, which, I mean, I have so much gratitude to her for that. I'm also thankful for my grandfather, because I've grown up fishing with him, and he's the one who got my dad into fishing sort of at the same age as when I learned to fish. And then I guess in my artistic practice, I'm really thankful for my professors like Daniel, Paul, and Helena, who have been really formative in my artistic practice and in realizing that this is something I can do, and this is something I can do, it's a field I can do what I want to do in, and I don't really have to answer to anybody else. And also just the List Art department as a whole.
Also, absolutely impossible to handle.
I'm not a happy animal.